Rain, rain, go away. Come again another day, or you're going to ruin a very rare opportunity to see a partial solar eclipse. Seanie Morris is here from the Midlands Astronomy Club, and he hasn't come empty-handed.
No, I haven't. I've brought a little visual aid for you to be able to see what it is that it would take to safely view the sun, regardless if there was a total solar eclipse or not. You can see there that on the end of the telescope we've got a little filter that looks like tinfoil. You can pull that off there now, actually.
Okay, so he's got a proper meaty telescope. How would you describe that?
It's a 70mm refractor, f10, so 700mm focal length. And the importance of this demonstration is just to show you that while this evening we are going to see a partial solar eclipse, we'll talk about that in a moment, it's about safety as well when you're viewing the sun. Some people may think that because the sun is so low towards the horizon when this is happening, that it'll be okay to use a telescope or binoculars to view it. Not the case.
So to make it safe, he has what looks like a regular cubic cardboard box, but there's tin foil at the end of it.
Now, it's not quite tin foil. It does look like tin foil. The material is called Bader, B-A-A-D-E-R. You can buy this in A4 sheets to make your own filters for your camera, your binoculars, or your telescope. And what it does is block 99.8+% of the sun's light and heat to make it safe to attach to the front of a telescope before any magnification is done, and then safely, through the eyepiece, look at the detail on the sun's surface. Sunspots are the big thing that we would use this for to observe.
So to the naked eye, it doesn't look in any way transparent.
No.
But this material will allow enough light through so you get the impression. And what will that look like?
It looks like just a white light representation of the surface of the sun, because it is blocking almost all of the available white light that is reaching our eyes that naturally we squint at when we're looking at the sun for protection. And it just gives a nice contrasting view of the sun's surface. So the last couple of weeks there have been an enormous amount of very large sunspots present, and you see those in all of their detail. Under magnification, you'll see how they have their umbra, which is the central dark region, and the penumbra, which is the outer edge of the sunspots that kind of graze into the rest of the chromosphere and photosphere, the parts that we actually do see. And if you actually hold that up to the halogen light above your head, you might see the spot of the bulb that is producing the light. If you bring it down to your face, that is actually covering your face, you might see the center part.
Do. Yes,
there you go.
Yes,
so
yes.
It's blocking almost everything else out, but just letting that intense source of light penetrate in nearly 99% less intensity. And that's what's needed.
If you're not a member of the Midlands Astronomy Club, where can you get this material?
You can buy it online. A good place that we often recommend is either Armagh Planetarium or K-Tech Telescopes, both of whom have shops to which you can buy this product. Naturally, it's been difficult to get the last couple of weeks because people, knowing the eclipse was happening and coming up, were buying it to make their own filters prior to departing these shores and going to places like Mexico, central United States, into southeast Canada in order to see the totality.
So if you have one of these, or if you have some form of eye protection, maybe welding shield or something
like that. You could use welding shield, yes. Grade 14 EW glass is safe enough without magnification to look at the sun with your eyes.
So what's going on? What are we watching?
We are watching a rare event where there is a perfect alignment between the sun, the moon in the middle, and Earth at the end. Now, in terms of physics, the Earth is roughly, how would you say, the sun is nearly 400 times the size of the moon, and the Earth-Sun distance is nearly 400 times the Earth-Moon distance. So with these either clever designs or pure coincidences in nature, when the three bodies line up, the moon will cover perfectly, on this occasion, perfectly, the sun, down to like the nth degree that you can think of. Wow. It's going to do a perfect representation.
What are the odds?
The odds are very, very rare. The only other body in the solar system where this could happen is Jupiter, where one of its tiny moons called Amalthea will cover about, I think it's 92% of the sun on a rare eclipse as viewed from the Jovian surface, from the surface of Jupiter. So very, very rare. And when it happens then, it allows you to experience literally nighttime in the middle of the day. You also get to witness with your own eyes and through magnification without a filter, just at the moment of totality, the sun's outer atmosphere known as the corona. And it's these wispy filaments that are bellowing out into space at, a few million kilometers an hour, at nearly 1 to 2 million degrees Celsius, where this energy is just seen radiating out from the sun. And it's a rare opportunity to see it with your own eyes. And even without magnification, as you look up to the sky, you see that with your own eyes. I've witnessed it once before.
Now, after all this hype,
Okay.
the weather forecast.
The weather forecast. It's not so good for us in Ireland, of course. It nearly is always the way. But all you have to have is, even with ambient light, if it was cloudy, when totality happens, you will notice that drop down in light. For us in Ireland, we're only seeing a portion. I think it's about maybe 11% at best of the sun's surface would be blocked or will be blocked. The times are at 7:55 p.m. for those of us in the Midlands is when the moon will first encroach across the visual surface of the sun. At best, we only have until about 18 minutes past 8 because that's when sunset happens. But if we didn't have that, a bit more of the sun will become more blocked, but we're only going to see a partial of it here. Whereas 5 hours in time behind us in the United States and in Canada, they're going to witness totality. And they'll have roughly 3.5 minutes at best, depending on where you are on the line of totality. And even as we were talking off camera, where I was born and grew up, Hamilton, Ontario, is on the centre line today of this total solar eclipse. But I wasn't able to make it work to be able to go over and see it, unfortunately.
Well, hopefully the clouds clear, the visual protection is in place.
Yes.
And we have a spectacular scene tonight.
Hopefully. And there are sources...
it may just be a case of... it's getting dark a little bit early.
Yes. And, even if, do you know what? With the amount that we have, it won't be pronounced at all, the dip in sunlight, because it's such a small amount of the sun's surface that's going to be blocked from our view. But there are sources online to which you can watch the eclipse in its entirety, in its glory. But there's no getting over the actual event if ever you do get to see one. Day becomes night, birds go silent, flowers begin to close because they all think it's evening twilight. And after 7 or 8 minutes, when the moon is moving away from the sun, it all comes back to life again. Birds wake up, the flowers reopen, the weather or the temperature begins to rise again. It's an amazing phenomenon to witness.
When's the next one if tonight doesn't work out?
Well, it does happen a couple of times a year in different parts of the world. We've got annular eclipses, partial eclipses, there are lunar eclipses. There's exact dates I can't remember right now, but a handy site is timeanddate.com. Timeanddate.com will give you that information and even simulate what the views will be like on the surface of the Earth.
Excellent. Seanie Morris from the Midlands Astronomy Club, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Text now 083 3010 103. Powered by Lamb Brothers Tullamore.